And so the Sojong meaning to acknowledgement and reestablishment of that which has been omitted or that which has been admitted. So omissions and admissions to acknowledge the ways in which we have not fulfilled our personal dharma commitments to ourselves and to each other and to all sentient beings. So this is the practice we'll do today in thinking about this. That we have been meeting now in retreat, we say, for a year. And we'll talk a little bit about how we want to proceed forward, perhaps, and go from there. But again, in the Sojong, time of the Sojong, every 2 weeks, full moon, new moon, that one merely reacquaints themselves or reaffirms their various samya and damsik, samya vows and damsik connection to dharma, to practice, and to the sangha at large. And again, as I said, all sentient beings. So please take a breath in this morning, breathe in, breathing out, and resting, settling onto our seat. As you rest and settle in your body, rest and settle in speech and breath, rest and settle in our mind, heart, emotions, rest and settle in our spirit. And recognizing the innate integration of these aspects. Sometimes we talk about the separation of mind and body. If mind is separated from body, then body or the mind cannot function. And if the interconnecting link of the breath is not present, then we might say we have a corpse, or perhaps, as Rinpoche liked to tell stories, it is a zombie. And perhaps the zombies they are functioning at a physical level, but at a conscious and spiritual level, that may be debatable. But anyway, we are not in that category. So paying attention and awakening this moment as you breathe in and breathe out. And again, what we reaffirm is that we are engaging the practice today of the Narakongshuk in a abbreviated fashion, meaning, as I said, recognizing our omissions and admissions, how to restore, and the restoration of the various commitments that we have taken. So as I was about to say, keeping in mind that the practice and the puja that we do is not solely for ourselves, even though the practice must have a twofold effect, that which is beneficial to sentient beings and that which is beneficial to ourselves. So in the doing of the practice of Dorje Sempa, or Bodhisattva, that we are cleansing and purifying, cultivating and restoring the path of the Dharma, or the path of truth. And we're doing so for the benefit of all sentient beings, which are limitless as the sky, or as we say, or infinite in their manifestations. So again, thinking this morning to continue to right the order or bring about some balance between the various forces that are always at play at a conditional level, so at a conceptual level. So cause, circumstances, and conditions. Cause, circumstances, and conditions are always at play for the unfoldment of what we view, relatively speaking, as phenomena. What we want to remind ourselves, Lama Rinpoche, Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, all the teachers in the higher practices says, the main vow, Rinpoche would say, the main vow is never to break our connection to the intrinsic nature of our own mind, Buddha nature, or to remain in Ripa, never break Ripa. So this is main vow. If you never break with Ripa and you always have this continuity of recognition, then you're always in the state of the enlightened Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. You're always in the light of receiving the blessings and giving out those blessings to other sentient beings. Now we know that is easily said. It's easily said, I am always in Ripa. We are always in the state of Ripa. The thing is, do we recognize it? So it is the recognition of that primordial ground and its spontaneous presence that the teachers are talking about, that we do not lose connection to. Take a breath in, please. Breathing out and bring your hands together. And as we began, or about to begin, to have proper motivation and proper intent. So thus we say, we pay homage to all of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, lineage masters, teachers, yogis, yoginis, down to the present day. That we connect to our ancestral line and receive the blessings deep into our bones. That we do so for the benefit of all sentient beings, so that we might recognize in a greater manifestation loving kindness and compassion, joyousness and equanimity, knowledge and wisdom, so that we may be truly a catalyst of change, for peace and for harmony and for love, respect, and caring, etc., for all sentient beings. Our intent is to fully recognize these qualities in this lifetime, if not to recognize them at this very moment. And that is the foundation of practice that we engage in. And then rest for a moment. Rest in the unadorned, unfabricated state. I'm not sure if men may have posted it, but I always remember it said, rest your mind. Release your neck. Let go of thinking. Recognize this present moment of unadorned wakefulness, like the natural blossoming of a lotus flower. And as that lotus flower blossoms with a moon disk and a radiant crystalline awe, the light goes out in 10 directions. The light of the four immeasurables, and the light of the unity of emptiness and clarity. The radiation, or the manifestation, we should say, the ever-pervasive manifestation of the enlightened quality which pervades each and every sentient being. As that radiant light flows out from our own heart space, it goes out as an offering. It goes out to cleanse and purify and to transform. And in kind, that light is radiated back, which we absorb into our heart, and it becomes even brighter as it goes out again. So there's a constant flux. We are not in a static state. We do not live in a static, unchanging universe. Our universe at a microscopic level and the universe at a macroscopic level. The interchanges of energetic forces like a confluent or a flowing river, is ever present in the universe. Even though it may appear that we are at a stationary point, but even our molecular structure is flying through copper wires and light fibers and circuit boards, etc., etc., and we appear to each other. In essence, I am talking to a three-dimensional object in space and time that presents to me, which appears to be three-dimensional objects. But really, when I examine it closely, they're nothing more than two-dimensional objects that have height and width. Now, I know there's depth there, so that gives me 3 dimensions. And you all appear to be aware of mine, so that's 4 dimensions. And you're existing in a spatial temporal context, so we can identify at least 6 dimensions. And as Einstein and Data said once, perhaps we can identify 26 dimensions of reality. And as Einstein said, I don't know if I could deal with that. But let's just go with these 6 dimensions. So our perceptions of phenomena and perceptions of reality, we're sort of like coloring by numbers. We fill in the blanks. So it's pretty amazing when you really step back and take a look at the whole process. So in practice of Long Vajrasattva, again, the whole universe is blessed by Dorje Sampa of Vajrasattva Vajratopa. And we are cleansing, purifying ourselves from within, using and employing how our mind works, how we dream and create realities in awakened state and both in the sleeping state. Perhaps you had some dream last night which you pondered over. What did it mean? Or it was quite pleasant, or maybe it was disturbing, but it was only a dream. And now we are awake, and I'm looking and talking to these small cubicles of the retreatants in the wakeful dream. But there's a difference when one knows they're dreaming in the awake and do not know when they're dreaming and they are asleep. This is the time of awakening. Wake up in the dream. Breathe in, breathing out. So coming across, I did not meet directly with the Thupten Rinpoche, but I am a student to one of his main disciples, Lama Rinpoche, and his other main heart disciple, Lama Rinpoche, and many other teachers and practitioners who had direct contact. I was in front of his Thupten, which is located in Buddha, that still has his body. I also was able to make retreat in his small retreat center located in Kalimpong, India. I spent 2 weeks every day sitting in front of his relics and practicing in front of his seat. But just something that Lama Rinpoche, Thupten Rinpoche, it's just a very short statement. That same statement of, as I said, rest your mind, release the back of your neck, and let go of thinking. Rest in the recognition of present moment wakefulness. But the Dorje Rinpoche says it even more succinctly. Rest at ease within the uncontrived nature of mind. Rest at ease within the uncontrived nature of mind. We won't go into, we've already tried to lay out, what do we mean when to rest at ease? What is the nature of mind? So we have to understand that. Then by looking, nothing is seen. So when you rest in the unobstructed, unadorned, uncontrived nature of mind, Who is looking to recognize? When you look, you see that there is nothing to see. Seeing nothing is actually to see naked awareness. So this, what we're seeing, it's not a construct. It's unconstructed, uncontrived, unadorned, naked awareness. Then he goes straight to the point. That itself is Buddha, Kundu Zompo. So the nature of your mind is Kundu Zompo itself. It is the Dharmakaya. But if it is the Dharmakaya, then all of the Kaya's wisdom and knowledge are contained within. Rinpoche, all the teachers, all the books you have constantly say this again and again. So again, take the breath in and breathe out. And as it says sometimes in the very beginning, it is pointed out. At the onset of the journey, one sees where they are going. But in seeing where you are going, recognize that you have already arrived. But having already arrived and grasped a glimpse of the journey and its destination doesn't mean that one really has arrived. To arrive is to stay in the recognition with no need to go here or there. One does not stray in that recognition. So when you look toward, as Lama Kaze Rinpoche would say, you look toward, you let go. Then we look toward. Who is looking? This is a paradoxical, contradictory statement. Look within. Who is looking? We come to understand. There is no looker of subject. There is no looking of the experience. And there is nothing to be looked at as a concrete object. Emptiness of the looker. Emptiness of looking. And emptiness of what is purported to be looked at. Three parts into one. What is the one? Emptiness, not a voidness, but it says an emptiness like space in which all phenomena arises, dwells, and ceases. So the primordial ground that we connect to, that is ever present, is our own spatiality and emptiness, and its manifestations, I would say, its potentialities. But recognizing they arrive like dream, like mist, like a reflection, like an apparition, like a ghost. Appearing but empty. Empty but appearing. They can appear because of the intrinsic empty quality. And the empty quality is the essence of all that appears. Breathe in. Rest in the unadorned recognition from which all phenomena arises. And from that state of calm and unity of clarity, Dzogchen arises with Guru Rinpoche as the central figure. Then, when we say most precious Guru, we do not separate Kunjung Monon Rinpoche, Jaja Rinpoche, Khyentse Rinpoche, Dogo Urgyen Rinpoche, so many Rinpoches you all know. You can put them all in just one facet. Guru Rinpoche. Most precious Guru, please think of me. Bestow the blessings that will free and ripen my mind, so that I may realize as quickly as possible for the benefit of all sentient beings. Most precious Guru, please think of me. Bestow the blessings that will free and ripen my mind, so that I may realize as quickly as possible for the benefit of all sentient beings. Most precious Guru, please think of me. Bestow the blessings that will free and ripen my mind, so that I may realize as quickly as possible for the benefit of all sentient beings. Then you should visualize Dzogchen or Guru Rinpoche is in front of you. And that with faith and with devotion and with trust, you take refuge. Namo Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, Gedan Lagabzojo. Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, Gedan Lagabzojo, Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, Gedan Lagabzojo. Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, Gedan Lagabzojo, Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo. Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, Gedan Lagabzojo, Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, Gedan Lagabzojo. Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, Gedan Lagabzojo, Lama Lagabzojo. Sing like a Jojo, Jola Gabzojo, get him like a Jojo, Lama Lagabzojo, sing like a Jojo. Jola Gabzojo, get him like a Jojo, Lama Lagabzojo, sing like a Jojo, Jola Gabzojo, get him like a Jojo, Lama Lagabzojo. Jola Gabzojo, get him like a Jojo, Lama Lagabzojo, sing like a Jojo, Jola Gabzojo, get him like a Jojo, Lama Lagabzojo, sing like a Jojo. Lama Lagabzojo, sing like a Jojo, Jola Gabzojo, get him like a Jojo, Lama Lagabzojo, sing like a Jojo, Jola Gabzojo, get him like a Jojo, Lama Lagabzojo, Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, get him like a Jojo, Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, get him like a Jojo. Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, get him like a Jojo, Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo. Lama Lagabzojo, Zengel Lagabzojo, Jola Gabzojo, get him like a Jojo. Sentient beings are infinite. I vow to liberate them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transcend them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. Buddha's enlightened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to liberate them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transcend them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. Buddha's enlightened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Sentient beings are infinite. I vow to liberate them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transcend them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. Buddha's enlightened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. So you are reestablishing your samya and reestablishing the damsik in these two approaches that establishes your intent, your motivation, and where you are engaging in the vow of the bodhisattva and making a commitment and stating what you will do. Visualization of the Dzogchen, again, you can see, you visualize as an appearance or a presence of the celestial bodhisattvas of the Mahayana, Vajrayana tradition. On my left side is Zaibu, and of the Theravada and the Arhats on my right. They're standing there with smiling faces as though they were extending arms and said, please come join us. Jember Garbar Gira Dam Dam Ba Bun La Bumba Daje Dabaje Luba Taba Zara Bada Zenje Jambe Ganjo Jonde Jiji Chiba Zara Daba De Zanju Dumbe Tashi Babewa Dewa Chiba Gila Zazabu Samba Jundu Bate Doji Jinre Jinwan Gumbu Jambe Bazayi Gumbu Jumba Tambaza Namga Nimbo Bajor Gondo Zondo Batoji Pata Tatu Nubu Dawa Rede Nama Ye Jaze Tata Daje Baje Jo Denje Timba Gela Zaza Lo Rende Tojo Toji Kuji Ka Donjo Bonza Gambo Dama Da Nida Donda Bonzo Bariru Binyo Gyaltsen Wongo Dorje De Jode Jode Kiki Chajen Jodo Gelwa Juen Ike Ma Jetro Junwa Jumbe Bave Baji Lambo Yela Zazabu Sanba Tembo Tejo Temebu Midun Dundam Gambo Dondo Son Duga Nanda Lama Pejoza Nardo Zote Zote Gudu Don Doje Narada Doda Doje Mario Lendo Doje Gazen Zazo Nije Gede Taje Virgine Wakila Chaza Najo Denje Jowa Songo Arienda Jowa Jowa Jode Dundum Baba Zendo Nije Jodaje Najo Denje Jowa Songo Arienda Jowa Jowa Jode Dundum Baba Zendo Nije Jodaje Dajo Dende Dewa Dungula Gede Dewa Dewa Dende Dundum Baba Zendon Yesendro Tashi Dede Ponzo. And we should have faith and trust, devotion that our request has been fulfilled. Jonam Jeve Gele Jon Dejon Sete Sebeso Gula Gumbo Ganya Junjo Jimbo Digeson Dova Dada Sambai Sange Dodange Don La Janjo Nebo Jigeba Daba Dade Katsuji Zerab Nande Danje Be Zombe Janje Dondo Da Sange Dondo Negede Zombe Jenzo Zemge Do Jeze Namga Nama Dan Do Pa Jeze Nego Ba Deze Doje Nego Ne Do Wa Derga So Ba So So Nam Jede Gede Jon De Do De 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 So Go La Gon Do Ganje Ba Jenjo Jembo Jige Zon Do Wa Da Da Zamba Ye San Ge Do Da Ge Don La Jenjo Nebo Jige Ba Da Ba Da Nege Shiram Nende Zanje Be Zombe Jenje Dondo Da Zange Dondo Nege Zombe Jenjo Semge Do Jeze Namga Nabada Do Wa Jeze Nego Ba Deze Do Je Nego Ne Do Wa Derga So Wa So Jo Nam Je Lege De Jon Je Jon Je De Je Be So Gola Gumbu Zanye Ba Jenjo Jembo Jige So Do Wa Da Da Zamba Ye Zanye Do Dang Ye Do La Zanje Nebo Jige Ba Da Ba Da Nega Suji Jira Nanze Danje Be Zombe Jenje Jondo Da Zange Dondo Ye De Zombe Jenje Zemge Do Jeze Namga Namba Da Do Wa Jeze Neko Ba Deze Do Je Nego Ne Do Wa Derga So Wa So. All phenomena arise from their causes. Their causes are explained by the Buddha. The cessation of these causes too are taught thus by the great sage. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain. Until then, may I too remain and dispel the misery and suffering and the causality of ignorance, desire, attachment, and anger in this world through loving kindness and compassion. Once again, we visualize that we're receiving the blessings directly from the Buddha, who is positioned in front of us. And all sentient beings from all of the realms are gathered shoulder to shoulder, having received the blessings of the body, the speech, the mind, the knowledge, and wisdom that opens us like a flower. And then we ourselves recognize our own inherent quality that is indivisible from that of the primordial ground, the mind of the Buddha. The difference being that the Buddhas and enlightened ones stay in that recognition. And as Rinpoche would say, we have glimpses, but we stray from the ever-present recognition. So in that recognition, again, the lotus of one's heart is open, and a moon disk. And within that is the crystalline radiant white. The quality of light goes out with a carrier message, we should say. Our merit, our happiness, and our fortune. But again, they go out as a singularity of loving kindness and compassion for the benefit of all sentient beings. So we practice the Thupten. When you breathe in, think that you're drawing in like bluish black smoke, which is representing all of the impurities, all of the negativities, obscurations, hindrance, defilements, negative karmic action, and disease of the sentient beings born within the mind, that we're bringing them in. Imagine it's a transfer transfer station, or it is the place of transformation, where in essence, these qualities at the highest level is like amritic offerings when they're changed into the four immeasurables, etc. Practicing the Tonlen, and we'll continue to count the outgoing breath and begin. Now, in your mind's eye, we visualize that our intentions have been fulfilled. Imagine at a snap of a finger, all the sentient beings throughout all the various realms, that each and every one of them at this very moment recognizes their own intrinsic enlightened nature and are liberated from the conceptuality or their own self-created dream-like manifestation of something called the realms of existence, or something called samsara, the place of suffering, and nirvana, free of suffering, not encapsulated by this conceptuality and thus are free. But unfortunately, the recognition is so brief, like a nanosecond. And then the next instant, samsara fills up. Talk to Chenrezig. Avalakya Sababa knows this very well. But relentless without measure, we continually, as we said, engage in the process of the liberation of self and others. As long as there is space, then we will continue in that endeavor, is what you are purporting and put forth. And as you breathe out again, the Buddha like water into water, you rest in that recognition which we speak of. But as Dorje Rinpoche said, resting without doing, there's nothing to do in the great completion. Resting or meditation is not doing, but getting used to. Getting used to not doing and resting in the primordial state of the ever-present nature of one's own mind. And as you breathe out, it's not that you went anywhere or you have left anywhere, because it is ever present. Zeba no Nargenze, Nube to Lama, Yeje get the Tego, didn't the Joba, the Bajanya, Mida, Joa, Bonzo, Zombaja, Renes and the Yozo do, Dennis and get them by yet. You are dead, you do, Saki, Galbo, do you, Nova, Andrew, Dennis, like you. I shall, and then just rest for a little bit. So, again, what is the key ingredient? Whether we're doing Sojong, whether you're doing Nundro, or doing Yidam practice, or whatever it may be. Maybe in the beginning, like Master Gele said, Lama Gele, we have many, many things to do. It starts off like a sesame seed. A little bit in the beginning, a lot in the middle, and small at the end, that we could say. But regardless of what stage one may be in, if there is no faith, if there is no devotion, no trust, then the blessings are minimal, depending on the level of which you engage those three components. It says, if it is of a grand and large context, then so will be that which comes back. If it's only in the middle, mediocre, then that's what will come back. And if it's small, next to existence, that's what will be experienced. The quality and the manifestation of the blessings of the Buddha is beyond measure. It is up to us which door and how wide we wish that door to be. So, in all of the stories of the heroes and the heroines, eventually they must come and fight and face their own dragon or demon or obstacles, something that must be overcome, but can only be overcome through their faith and their trust and their devotion. You are all seekers of knowledge and wisdom. And I'm sure by now you know you will get the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. Sometimes you'll be at the height of the moment, and sometimes you'll be in the depths of the shadows of darkness. I'm laughing at me, so pardon my humor to myself. And you realize that if you really want to find out where your journey is, then you must be tested. How can you say, oh, I have faith in this, I have trust in this, and so forth and so on? But when the moment of truth comes and one has to face, do you truly have faith? Do you truly trust? And is there devotion in the spiritual path or mundane path? We have in our pockets, maybe not so much now, but in your trust funds, in your whatever instruments of financial security you may have, at the bottom of it, there's a slogan that says the triangle and the eye with a circle. In God we trust. In God we trust. We trust in that monetary power element. And it's very powerful when used, and used both constructively and destructively. But do we trust in our own spiritual development? Do we trust and have devotion in our own selves, as I was thinking last night? Do we have a devotion to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and to our teachers? And do we treat ourselves with that same type of caring and love? Faith, devotion, and trust. So reading again, not to take too much time, but I think it's important that we're not just going rote, or just do because Rinpoche, or do because Lama says do, but we're doing because we are informed. Therefore, the wing of knowledge and didactic intellectual processes brings about direct content of the experience. And those two things together creates the wings so that the bird can fly, or the support on either side of a ladder where the rungs can be connected and we can go up. This is from the interpretation of Kunso Lama Shelong, Words of My Perfect Teacher. Kembo Nakchun, Paja Rinpoche, Namakazi. The instructions on taking refuge, the cornerstone of all Buddhist paths, has three divisions. The different kinds of taking refuge, the four methods of taking refuge, and the advice on the benefit of taking refuge. So in the doing of the Sojong is establishing our refuge vows. In general, it is taking refuge that opens the door of all dharmas, and it is faith that opens the door of taking refuge. Therefore, before taking refuge, it is important to develop firm faith in one's mind. The three types of faith. Faith is also differentiated into three types. There's faith generated by attraction, faith generated by desire, faith generated out of conviction. Faith generated by attraction, visiting places such as temples, making pilgrimages, where there are many objects representing the Buddha's body, speech, and mind, meeting teachers, lamas, rinpoches, spiritual teachers, and noble persons, or learning of their virtues and biographies. Such circumstances can instantly generate the awe-inspired thought. How great is their mercy or blessings? The faith that develops is called the faith generated by attraction. Like when we see a Buddha, when we see a Tanka, or sometimes in a curio shop you go, and there's the odd bell or Dorje, and immediately if you're a practitioner, you go, oh, I wonder how that arrived there, because we know exactly, and it is still something within us. The faith generated by desire. The faith developed out of one's desire to be free from the suffering, and so on the lower realms of samsara. On hearing of such suffering, the faith developed out of one's desire to obtain the pleasures of the upper regions and of nirvana. On hearing such pleasures, the faith developed out of one's desire to earn merit. On hearing of the benefits of doing so, the faith developed out of one's desire to abandon harmful or inauspicious acts. On seeing the harm created by such acts, this type of faith is called faith generated by desire. So the faith by which we recognize our own suffering and the suffering of other sentient beings. And we hear that, oh, if we follow this particular path or practices, that we can alleviate that which causes this suffering. Faith generated out of conviction. Upon knowing the unique virtues and blessings of the rare and supreme three jewels, Buddhadharma, Sangha, a conviction will be born from the core of one's heart that will make one recognize the three jewels as the unfailing protector at all times and under all conditions. Irrespectively of whether one is happy or misery or illness or pain, or whether one is going to die or live, whatever may happen, one will surrender only to the unfailing protection of the three jewels, depending on them and no other, with confidence and hope. Such a faith of complete surrendering is called faith generated out of conviction. So have you aroused these three faiths, or are you just going through? If you say you have, then just to say a little bit more, Guru Rinpoche said, faith of complete surrendering draws blessing. If the mind is free from doubt, whatever you desire will be fulfilled. Do you have doubt? Have you given yourself over to having faith? Have you given yourself over to having trust? Have you given yourself over to truly have devotion? So I knew I was going to lead this today, and I said, be careful. I don't want to become, or maybe I do, like one of those old preachers in the South. And they would stand up at the pulpits and they would say to the congregation, do you have faith? And if you have faith, I want you to stand up right now and affirm your faith in Buddhadharma Sangha. But that's probably enough of that, merely to do it to amuse you this morning. But really, you won't find out where your faith and your trust and your conviction is until you're put to the test. And I think in this year and in this life, you will be continually put to the test. Do you have faith? And that's the only way you'll find out. It's easy to say. Thus, faith is like a seed for growing all the virtues of positive, auspicious dharma. And the absence of faith is like a seed that is burnt by fire. In the sutra, it says, if we have no faith, then auspicious and loving kind actions will not appear. Just the seeds that are burnt by fire brings forth no great blades of grass or flowers. Likewise, faith is chief among the 7 wealths of the enlightened ones. So faith is at the very top. The precious wheel of faith sets one's day and night on the meritorious path. So by having faith, you will never steer from the proper direction. As it is said, faith is the best of all the wealths. Similarly, it is a treasure store, for it is a source of inexhaustible virtues. It is the feet that take ones along the path of freedom. It is like a pair of hands, for it gathers all the virtues of the Dharma to one's mind. Again, it is said, faith is the best of wealth, treasure stores, and feet, analogous to a pair of hands. It is the principal means for gathering merit. Although the 3 jewels have an inconceivable amount of mercy and blessings, the entry of their mercy and blessings into one's own mind depends entirely on one's faith and devotion. Hence, if one has the best faith and devotion, one will receive the best mercy and blessings from the Guru and the 3 jewels. Likewise, if one's faith and devotions are mediocre, the merit or the mercy and blessings received will also be mediocre. If one's faith and devotions are of the lowest quality, the mercy and blessings received will be very little. If faith and devotion are fundamentally absent, no mercy and blessings will be received at all. If one has no faith, no benefit can be derived, even if the Buddha is personally met and followed. So this is like Landharma, who cousin to the Buddha, who had no faith, even though he spent much time with Buddha. If faith and devotion are present in one's core of one's heart, even now the Buddha will appear in front and give blessings to one who offers prayer. The Buddha's mercy has no partiality, it is said. Those whose mind is moved with devotion, in front of him, Buddha appears, giving initiations and blessings. Guru Rinpoche said, for the devotees, male or female, does not matter. Guru Rinpoche, it will always be with you, as though is sleeping by your door. My life suffers not from death. In front of every devotee, every practitioner, there is Guru Rinpoche. So that part, it says, it is not that the Buddha is saying you have mediocre or best or none blessings, therefore I will decide which to give and which not. It says there's no partiality. It's impartial. It is up to us whether we have none, or little, or middle, or higher. Blessings are always ever present. But if the door is closed, how can anything come in? Partially open, a little come in. All the way come in, flooding in. So take a breath in, please. Breathing out. And maybe for a moment, reflect, contemplate, study, contemplation, meditation. So listening to the words of Kunsalam Shalom is like the study. Now you must contemplate, and you can contemplate. Do I have these qualities? Faith, devotion, and trust. I will open the door and receive. Just a side story. I had practiced yesterday and said, oh, I will take a small nap in the rain and the gray of the day. And so I dozed off. And all of a sudden, I woke up and I turned my head to the left. And outside my door, there was a deer. Oh, that's a deer. Am I dreaming or am I awake? No, it was the deer. So I took that as a sign and I go, we're always looking for some sign, aren't we? Something to affirm. Yes, we're going in the right direction. We're not lost. So I took that as a sign. Oh, deer appear in front of my door. Oh, thank you, dear. So I can still see it in my mind. I hope your deer of faith, your deer of devotion, your deer of trust will come at a moment unexpected, and you'll wake up and you'll see it. So the Dharma is ever present when your eyes open to see. Are your eyes open to see? Then maybe the old preacher would say, are you ready to see? Because when you're ready to see, then you shall see, and you know the rest of the phrase. You will see that there is nothing to see, and thus begins the great scene. Rest in the unseen. And from that space, as it says, whenever you enter into that space which is ever present, then Guru Rinpoche will always be at your door. Urgyen Samten Lama Juge Gula Suade, Urgyen Samten Dejen Duge Drumbe Sangsamsu, Kunjon Yudan Yuden Jentege, Jejen Gende Jawati Begu, Doje Zedra Netso Sosor Don, Lama Lutsu Jugula Suade, Urgyen Samten Ling Meje Dunde Dembe Zengzu Dorje Jumbo Joe Dala Gala Dorje Dorje Dada Majo Dada Danjong Lama Jobe Gula Suwade Urgyen Samten Nila Suwade Gunjo Dozang Gera Jira Shen Bema Gera Nida Sushoda Jojo Gadran Dundun Gatsozor Gadalama Nama Suwade Tene Jimbe Tore Dunedon Toje Dundun Betor Gadia Naru Dundun Betor Songe Gode Gode Tode Lonjeba Drume Ozo Shala Suwade Jeje Gunje Dona Jeze Drume Ozor Yangden Tozo Oza Lonje Namge Natuba Jeme Limbe Shala Suwade Luzun Konye Pema Jinege, Zudu Dubu Guzu Gudu, Singing and Being and Pejon, Gundu Zambela Sovade, Woman Zogi Yenge Podanga, Tuzo Sange Goje Gudu, Ranjang Gugu Gudu, Zoe Lame Namla Sovade. Roman Jogi Yogi Podanga, Tuzo Sange Goje Gudu, Ranjang Gugu Guzu, Zoe la mesa la suade, Gewa Kondo Yandan Lamata, Dube to give a lot of Jojen, Sadam Nanje Wanjo Neto, Nedoje Genji go Vanto to so, Zuma, Subtle body 3 times, close the left. Breathing in, breathing out. The smaller nadis. I E U Rebe Lele E U Hanga Daga Gaganga Zaza Zazanya Tada Tana Tada Tana Baba Bama Yawala Jaga Zaraja Umedama Hitubara Hitutagata Hayo Wakapikinsa Yubaroa E Laminamaha Samana Soha Badra Samaya Sa Sa Ba Ho Britsa Ramani Bava Daye Soha Badra Samaya Za Za Ba Ho Badra Amrita Kundale Hana Hana Be Ranjini only Uzo Tuge Lama da Nitso Bebe Kunjan Jorge Lalo Choju Jutse Gabio Nitsa Wa Bebe Gula Dun Ginamga Baja Sama Za Dorje Sempa appears Sange Dodan Soge Tonala Jenjo Badu Dani Gabsoji Daji Zenzoge Peso Nange Jola Benze Zenge Jopasho. Sange Dodan Zoge Donamba Junjo Batu Dani Kapsuji. Daji Zenzoge Peso Nange Jola Benze Zenge Jopasho. Sange Dodan Zoge Donamba Junjo Batu Dani Kapsuji. Daji Zenzoge Peso Nange Jola Benze Zenge Jopasho. Za ba mo zoje na ramba temba gu Baja Mahasri Haragar Hon, Dene Dorje Torwa Guru, Zuava, Zudo, Zaba, Dama, Zobe, Dudu, Hon. Dume, Nene, Dende, Rumbo, Jenny, Je, Geje, We, Nando, Doro, 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 Bumbo, Buzo, Zumbo, Dojan, Gozo, Jembo, Guru. Oma, 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 Kume Pate, Sapa, Rida, Rava, Satsumaza, Satana, Pate, De, Banana, Cha. Namo Savadata Gadaba, Yumishu Mugube, Sabano de Sapa, Rana, Nakamasoha. Namo Savadata Gadaba, Yumishu Mugube, Sabadata Mugde Sapa, Rana, Idam, Nakamasoha. Namo Savadata Bayo Mishamugu, they sab the Saparan in the Kama. Soha. Gada Nane Lado. Gada Nane Ladon do Zembo da Zenda. Gigun do da do de da do. Kume Pate Aye Gata. All the obstructors you summons, maybe you have trauma, you can just visualize in your mind. You don't need, everything is created in our mind, isn't it? Umbaja Mahasri Haragur Hon Dene Dorje Torwa Good. Ete Ram Yam Sarva Suto Sarva Dane Sube Suto Ro Tonde Hande Demde Rinpoche Nene Geche We Nando Torwa Toro Dumbo Bonzo Somba Dajen Gazo Jembo Go Soma Oma Then you summons all the Rutas, all the Rakshas. Please come right here now. I have something for you. Sarabutaraga Zaraza, Sarabutaraga Za, Sarabutaraga Zaraza. Om Saba Megane, Namo Sabadataga, Dada Yamishu Mugude, Sabanade Zaparana, Idam Graham, Gorehana, Idam Balenta Soha. Om Saba Megane, Namo Sabadataga, Dada Yamishu Mugude, Sabanade Zaparana, Idam Graham, Gorehana, Idam Balenta Soha. Om Saba Megane, Namo Sabadataga, Dada Yamishu Mugude, Sabanade Zaparana, Idam Graham, Gorehana, Idam Balenta Soha. Sunjen Sanje Juwa Dan, Duba Gunda, Duba Guji, Tunganda, Duge, Konda, Duba Guji, Tunge me Betemba Tempata, Medawa Guji, Nunendanda, Dewa Nezebella, Namba Guji. Sunjen Jamde Juwa Dan, Duba Gunda, Duba Guji, Tunganda, Duge, Konda, Duba Guji, Tunge me Betemba Tempata. Medawa Guji, Nirindanda, Dewa Nezebella, Namba Guji. Shenzhen Jamje Juwadan, Dewa Gunda, Duba Guji, Tunganda, Tuge, Gunda, Duba Guji, Tunge Mebe Demba Dembada, Medawa Guji, Nirindanda, Dewa Nezebella, Namba Guji. Zado Manda Dorje Jovada, Zerine Gunsen Sowachi, Jovada Zeta Jessica, Sandre Joba Sande Go. Saji, Puja, Sojong, Dram, Rebellions, and somebody, Sanke, Middle Kuwai, Dogam, the Nazinda, Chuba, Joidan, Rada, Mandrana, Diami, Saji, Puja, Georgia, Middle Dram, Rebellions, and somebody, Sanke, Middle Kuwai, The short practice of Dorje Simple of Vajrasattva and the short collect sadhanas. So now you're visualizing Dorje Simple singularity or in dual aspect in front of you, and then you summons all of the wrathful and peaceful, or all of the peaceful and all of the wrathful. So the 48 and the 52. The chief being Kundu Zongpo and Jumjup Heraka. Manifestation of the compassionate nature in its dual manifestation, peaceful and wrathful, but always grounded in loving kindness and compassion. Yeshe Jeju Jela Zemje Kabja Tu Zeba Tu Bata Samaya Za. What do you think appears? Adane Tamajiru Bhagavatawa Tenyewu Wale Lama Dorje Zengazo Nunde Tobeku Dorje Zenje Nemaje Chola Tatlo Tepajo Jojan Deba Dorje Za Jede Zala Banyeto Jojo dawa kende ten yone dama takeku daba gege gudu we yaja de gudu jone duje chenja zenge juen guru dada daba ye dada chenja zenge ge lada no modo gudru ne do ne do Mala Jawa Sedu So Badra Sata Samaya Mano Palaya Badra Satu Tenova Nubua Tuzogaya Nubua Tubogaya Nubua Anaratu Nubua Savasi Nebria Saragama Siddham Siddham Guru Home Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Badra Mane Mujo Benziboa Mahasamaya Badra Sata Samaya Mano Palaya Badra Satu Tenova Sudogaya Nabova, Subogaya Nabova, Anaratu Nabova, Zova City Nebriatus, Sujame, Zedum Zedum Guru Home, Ha Ha Ha, Satua, Baru Satu Samaya, Mano Bhavaya, Baru Satu Tenova, Sudogaya Nabova, Subogaya Nabova, Anaratu Nabova, Zova City Nebriatus, Zedum Zedum Guru Home, Sada Dada Gada Badramani Muzomenza Bhavana Samaya Satua, Badra Satu Samaya, Mano Badaya Badra Satu Sudogaya Nabova, Subogaya Nabova, Anaratu Nabova, Sova City Nebriatu, Sarakama Sujame, Sedum Zedum Guru Home, Ha 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 Ho, Bhagavan, Sawa Dada Gada Badramani Muzo. Mazamaya Zadu Adam Badra Zadu Samaya, Mano Badaya Badra Satu Tenova, Nabova, Sudogaya Nabova, Sudogaya Nabova, Anaratu Nabova, Sava City Nebriatu, Sarakama Sujame. Sedum Sedum Guru Home, Ha Ha Ha, O Bhagavan, Sawa Dada Gada Badramani Muzo Mente Bhavana, Samaya Satu, Samaya Mano Badaya Badra Sudogaya Maboa, Zubogaya Maboa, Narada Maboa, Sabbatsiri Mebea, Zaradama, Guru Hongha. Sada Gada Badruma Nemuzo Vandabava Mahazama Yoto Badu Samaya Madhavaya Maboa, Zudogaya Maboa, Namaradu Maboa, Zovaziri Mebea, Zaradama, Guru Hongha, Bhagavan Savada. Ibo Mahazama Yazadu, Adam Badruzadu Samaya, Manavaya Badruzadu, Renovadi to the Dova, Sudogaya, Mabua, Sudogaya, Mabua, Anarada, Mabua, Zedam Zedam Guru Hong Ha, Bhagavan, Sovada, Vadamani, Badruzadu, Badruzadu, Zobagaya Maboa, Narada Maboa, so was it in every other Zedum Guru Hong Ha, Bhagavan, Zombaduzadu Zamaya Manavaya, Baduzadu, Honorado Maboa, so was it in every other Zaragamazudame, Sedum Guru, Sarada Bagadu Baruman Muzo and the Bawa Mahazama Yatatu, Zetam Zeram Guru, Lumaduzamaya Manavaya, so was it in every other Zaragama, Samaya Zadu, Badruzadu, Zamaya, Manavaya, Nanoradu Mabova, Vadere, Honorado Mabova, Zovazir, the Zarama, Sudam Ziranguru Hong Ha 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 Bhagavan Padaya Badruzadu Navati Nabova Sudogaya Nabova Sudogaya Nabova Sudam Ziranguru Hong Ha 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 Bhagavan Savada Madhuzadu Navati Nabova Sudogaya Nabova Sudogaya Nabova Sudam Siddham Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Savada Sadhu Adum Badru Zadu Samaya Manu Badaya Badru Sudogaya Mabova Sudogaya Mabova Anarata Mabova Sava Ziri Mebreya Zazara Mazadana Zadam Siddham Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sada Dada Gada Badra Mani Mazavanda Bhavana Hazamaya Zadum Badru Zadu Samaya Manu Badaya Badru Zadu Sudogaya Mabova, Zubagaya Mabova, Honorado Mabova, Zavadari Mabaya, Zedum Sirum Guru Hong, Lumende Bava Mahazamaya, Zadova, Badru Zadu Samaya, Honorado Mabova, Zavadari Mabaya, Zazara, Sada Gada Badumani Mazovenda Bavana Zamaya Satu, Dom Badruza, Samaya, Zudogaya Mabua, Zubogaya Mabua, Anarada Mabua, Zudum Zirum Guru Hum Bhagavan Savada Gata Then over the Mabua, Zudogaya Mabua, Zubogaya Mabua, Sudam Ziram Guru Hum Bhagavan Savada Nanobalaya Badruzadana Badu Sudokaya Sudokaya Honorable. So was it in a big at the Zaragama to Guru Samaya Zadovana Badruzadana Zudugaya Mabua Zubogaya Mabua so was it in a big at the Zaragama Guru Sada Gada Badramani Muzava and the Bavana Zamaya Zudogaya Mabua Zubogaya Mabua Narada Mabua Zidam Zidam Guru Hong Ha Bhagavan Manu Badaya Badruzadana Hava Didda Mabua Zudogaya Mabua Zudogaya Mabua Zidam Zidam Guru Hong Ha Bhagavan Manu Badaya Badruzadana Hava Didda Mabua Zudogaya Zidam Zidam Guru Hong Ha Bhagavan Nano Badaya Badruzadana Hava Didda Mabua Zudogaya Mabua So was it in a way of the Nobody but Another was always in a way of no was it in a way of the some years ago, So was it in a big at the Lama do Adam Badruzada Samaya, Manovaya, Another was always in a way of the Madra Sato A E U Reve Reve Hoanga Kaka Kakanga Tata Tatanya Tata Tatana Tata Tatana Baba Bamba Yawala Wa Shaka Sanga Cha Badru Sato Samaya Manupalaya Badru Sato Tenova Titu Nabua Sudogaya Tabua Sudogaya Anarada Nabua Zovazit Nebrea Duzarama Gombo dene meje bomba ji damze dene gamzo na lama dombo kapso ji zoba doji jembe je doje jumbo nyenye jen zoba dala dar yapje gonzon da zoba da yin yi damje namba tamje choga saso dimba da dreba nedo dremezo tamje jenje deba sedu so Badru Zadu Zamaya Manu Balaya, Badru Zadu Denova, Dudu Nova, Dudogaya Nova, Dudogaya Nebrea, the Laraga Mazan, the Dudun Guru, Aradagada Baduna Nemuzo, and the Dora, Samaya. And go to the brief fulfillment prayer, where we offer the Amrita, Radha, Tonma, and candle. You can just visualize you're standing in front of the objects of refuge and you're making these offerings. Hold up your Dorje as though it was a brilliant candlelight. Nam ye da do da ye chen chen na ma be chen do gun jong gun do de pa mo ju ju chen chen ma do ba chen chen ju be sa ba chen ba shu. And Dhamapala. Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be. Om Sri Tenda Haraka, Rule Hojo. Dane Bajan, Zabne Bamjam Gan, Dube Duje Ki, Mo Te Juju. Tamze Ye Ye, Nime Duje Den, Mize Nam, Suki Kuduru, Tuse Ram, Yan, Gan.
Mama Veni Zavada Guru Bema Zura Puna Tana Ada Siddhi Om Mama Veni Zavada Guru Bema Dunya Dana Onye Siddhi Sri 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 Om Bhagavad Gita Samaya Manolaya Bhagavad Gita Dudogaya Nagova Dudogaya Nagova Anarada Nagova Govaziri Nirvaya Dharana Sedum Siram Guru Om Hava O Bhagavad Sarada Daga Daru Mani Muzo Mende Bhava Maha Samaya Urgyen Yuji Nanzanza Bema Geza Dongola Zazen Joji Guru Ne Bema June Sasudra Budu Gando Mabudu Gigi Zazu Dadrugi Chenji Loze Sasu Guru Bema Titi Urgyen Yuji Nanzanza Bema Geza Dongola Zazen Joji Guru Ne Bema June Sasudra Budu Gando Mabudu Gigi Zazu Dadrugi Jinji Doji Zasu Guru Bema Titi Urgyen Yuji Nanzanza Bema Geza Dongola Zazen Joji Guru Ne Bema June Sasudra Budu Gando Mabudu Gigi Zazu Dadrugi Jinji Doji Zasu Guru Bema Titi Uma Om Bhajo Guru Bema Titi Uma Om Bhajo Guru Bema Titi Sudi Uma Om Bhajo Guru Bema Titi Uma Om Bhajo Guru Bema Uma Om Bhajo Guru Bema Titi 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 Uma Om Bhajo Guru Guru Pama Zombadru Zadu Zamaya, Manubadaya, Badu Zadu Denova, Dedu Mabua, Zudogaya, Mabua, Zubagaya, Mabua, Hanarada Mabua, Zubazimaya, Zazana, Zedun Zidum Guru Hong, Ha ha ha, so that Samaya Satu. Rest at ease within the uncontrived nature of mind. By looking, nothing is seen. Seeing nothing is actually to see naked awareness. This itself is Buddha Kunduzumpo Samantabhadra, the embodiment of all kayas and wisdom, knowledge. Ah, 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 rest.
Breathing out and bringing our hands into the mudra or the gesture of impartiality or the gesture of tranquility. Release the attachment and the falsity of dreaming through the eyes. I see, I want, I don't care. And releasing from the bondage of the hearing, pleasant, unpleasant, indifference. And releasing from the illusions of the smell, I like, I don't like, pleasant, unpleasant, good taste and bad taste, pleasant taste, sour, sweet, etc. Let go. And in the body, in its constant seeking for comfort, give up attachment. In the incessant mind, constantly churning and turning like a rough sea, allow it to become calm. Rest, looking to see, breathing in and breathing out, and having restored your various vows, perhaps you will have aroused the faith of desire. And you have the faith of attraction and the faith of conviction. The question is, when the difficult times arise, and they will for sure continue, not just this brief period, but I think we all must be like the aspirant on the heroic journey of the hero and the heroine. And eventually we must face our own demons, our own dragons, serpents, and be asked to confront them until we recognize that they were our creations from the beginning. So, as I said, the old preacher in Selma, Alabama, as you sit in the pews and he wipes the sweat from his brow, and maybe take a small glass of water, and he says to you with an open hand, "My brothers and sisters, do you have faith?" And he would say to the congregation, "If you have faith, I want you to stand up and say, Amen, and hold your hands up and receive the blessings within." And he would just be getting started, and he would work up into a fervor and inspire each and every heart in that congregation to open with that simple phrase, "Do you have faith?" So with faith and devotion and trust, may you engage in the rest of this day with harmony and happiness and peace. Going to the ending prayers. And remember that what we do is not for ourselves, but it is for the benefit of all sentient beings who suffer far greater than we do. Dorje
When we can work and was and was to a pattern over mother to what it's a bit and what to do, Gadoji, Zebed Gado Bado, Jan Wood. Menu de Nidze Doji da Jan Doji. Le mega de Gado, Denjoji, Gambo, Gojo, Malo, Rinpoche. Tibe Meze Gado, Rajene, Lajen, Juro, Lajen, Lajen, Onze Tenzenge, Menzenge, Bobule, Nidegam, Duna, Demba, Demba, Dubana, Zeben, Gazan, Dunya, Denjuna, Meze, Gugu, Gado, Torem, Gazo, Tembe, Tugoji, Zonam, de Yedem, de Chupaki. Domye neve domye donje gije neje bada druba yije bezo da druba chuva shu. Zamba boro tenda temba dan gondo zambo donye deje de dade gonje tuje temba che gewato tende de ratu. Pavden le megon zeton badan de yumyo wadi yo wayi dajin bado zeton de ne don de zungij. Bajo tembe bagula meje benden de zingi buze tunyo la kapten bedon dan no danjo bagi. Somebody in a bed, I see you. To them, they bed and you don't get buzz. They drew them bed, not that they made them do make them make them buzz. They buzz and do something basic. Jinzos and Jordan Boji Mage Banam Gegoji, get Banam Bame, go nego to that. So Gazo Daye don't wait on dojo, go and dojo, and Beji dojo, not drive it, but then make it to the Parenta. Taji da de Taya taon gade better gade better some gade potiso taya tamon gade better gade better some gade potiso taya tamon gade better some gade potiso. Let go of what is past. Let go of what may come. Let go of what is happening now. Don't try to figure anything out. Don't try to make anything happen. Relax right now and rest in the blessings of your faith, of your devotion, and of your trust. And having those things, as it's said in the Kunzul Lama Shalom, words of my perfect teacher, Guru Rinpoche will always be above your head and surround you and at your door to watch over you, to guard you, to support you, to care and love you. So we have come to the end of our time. Always, it goes so quick. I feel like I'm on a horse race. Oh, clock time going, get everything in, have a little time left over. Now we're just starting, we're just begin, but now we have to bring it to an end. So boys and girls, it has been my pleasure to be among you this wonderful day once again. I hope it's a blessed day for you. Go have fun in the sun, but do so with your heart and your flower open, with faith and devotion and trust.